We're allowed to make mistakes, right? Right? Alright guys, welcome back to another video of Catch and Release. Now unfortunately I do have to make a video like this every now and then, and this time around on the chopping block is none other than the Galaxy Tab S3. Now wait, I know recently I sold my iPads and jumped on a Galaxy Tab S3. There are all kind of silly comments about, I bet you got it for free and all kind of stuff. Nonetheless, I walked into Best Buy just like every other person does and goes shopping. So I thought it would be a great idea to actually ditch my iPad Pro and grab a Galaxy Tab S3 solely because of the S Pen and the functionality that Android has over iOS for certain things. Well, let me just start by saying I didn't throw it back into the pond because of so much of it being a bad tablet. It just couldn't last as long in certain areas, and it just didn't do as well in certain areas as my iPad Pro 10.5 or my 9.7 or my 12.9. Listen, here's the thing. I had a tablet for about 9 days or so, and here's where it failed at. Well, it didn't fail so much. It didn't do good enough for me. So first thing is the battery. Now the battery life is good at best. I can definitely grab about 6 to 7 hours of screen on time. However, it doesn't last a full day. And my iPad Pro lasts all weekend. I could charge it up and do a bunch of stuff on it, and I won't have to charge that thing until like Sunday if I start using it Friday. And that was something that I missed immediately. I definitely missed the battery life. Now, it does get good battery life, and it does have fast charging because it had Type-C, but I had to charge it every day, and I didn't like doing that for a tablet. I already don't like lugging around chargers for phones, and I decided that that was one of the top reasons I had to get rid of it. Now, as far as performance goes, I didn't see the lag that some people told me I was going to say. Some people said, "Oh, you're not going to like it." It's not that I didn't like the tablet as a whole. Just some areas it just didn't do very well at, and battery was at the top of the list. So if it doesn't perform well in battery, that alone is a deal breaker for me. So I mean, it performs well in battery, but I'm a heavy user. So being a heavy user, I need something that's going to really, really last. So the tablet just didn't last long enough. That's all it was. And then another thing that kind of shocked me was the 4 speakers. Now the 4 speakers on here, on that device, they just weren't very loud. I couldn't believe it. I have phones that are louder than this tablet, and the Galaxy Tab S3 just didn't have very loud speakers. It has 4 speakers, but you don't hear the volume until you get to like 90%. And I now have old ears, but I kind of measured it against other phones and stuff, and I was like, we still actually have iPad Pro 9.7. I just don't use it. It's not mine. But I did go back and grab the 10.5 again, to be honest. But here's the thing. The speakers on that thing were just not very loud. They just were not loud at all, and I'm so shocked. It just blew me away. I was like, why is it these speakers? There's 4 speakers and they're not very loud. So check that off. The battery I had to charge every day. The speakers not very loud. And another thing that kind of shocked me was I normally can roll with 32 gigs of storage on anything, but for my tablets I was wrong. I need at least 64 because all my phones, some of them have 32, some of them have 16, but on my tablets, when I'm using them for things, I'm loading up the tablets with movies and stuff, and even though I have an SD card, the internal storage is much faster than an SD card. And I had Samsung's SD card in there, and the internal storage is a heck of a lot faster, and I used it up too quick. I used up like 20 something gigs, and out of the box you only get 24, I believe, or something like that, or 23. And that shocked me. I was like, wow, I haven't even done a lot of stuff on here. So I had to move stuff to the SD card, and then all of it wouldn't move. Some of the files wouldn't move. Some of the apps wouldn't move. It was just a bad experience. So I was like, you know what? I needed 64 gigs on here. So that was another thing. So the battery, the speakers, and the internal memory turned out to not be such a good experience for me. Another thing is I lost the S Pen like 2 or 3 times. I'm like, oh my gosh. It would have been nice to have a slot inside the tablet for the S Pen. that would have been really hot because I kept putting it down. I would be upstairs or I would be downstairs, you know, doodling, writing something out, look around like, oh, where's the pen at? And I have to go searching for it again. That happened like 3 or 4 times in the 8 or 9 days that I had the tablet, and I was frustrated. So not having a slot for it, I thought I could deal with that because actually, you know, it would have been nice to have like some kind of magnetic thing or whatever, but it just wasn't a good experience with the S Pen either. But, you know, overall, the tablet's not bad. I mean, the screen is beautiful. The cameras are fantastic. There's just a lot about it that is good, but the key areas that I needed the most was the battery and, you know, the internal storage started turning into a problem. And the speakers just were not very loud. So, unfortunately, it made it into one of my episodes of Catch and Release. And I only do these for devices and things that I purchase that can't make it through the return period. Now, I'm actually like an elite member at Best Buy. So I actually have like 45 days to return products. So I can, you know, keep a product for a month and a half and then return it just for the month and a half. But I don't do that. I try to buy everything, keep it, and because that's my intent. Because I shop at Best Buy regularly. I mean, I buy a lot of stuff from Best Buy, and they have good deals. So actually, that tablet, when I bought it, was actually $4.99. It wasn't $5.99. It was $100 off. And then I got a student discount for another $50. So I actually only paid, what, $4.40 or something like that for it. It was dirt cheap. It was $4.40, but it still wasn't $440 worth keeping because I needed it to. It was not about the money. It was about more of the battery not lasting. I was like, I was sick of this. And even though it was a glass back and front, it got a little warm sometimes. And I wasn't even gaming. So overall, it's a fantastic tablet. It's just not for me. So if you're not going to be on it as a heavy user, you definitely can go with that. And if you don't need a lot of internal storage, the 25 or 24 gigs available should be more than enough for you. But I like when I have a tablet for media consumption and I want to put some stuff on it. So that didn't work for me. And the speakers, if you're into a lot of heavy media, in my experience, they're not very loud. I had to crank it to like 100% to even get some real sound out of it. And that kind of disappointed me. So nonetheless, I am done. This is Catch and Release, episode number 4, I think, or something like that. And this is actually the rear camera of the iPad Pro 10.5. I just decided to use it to record the Catch and Release, you know, and the footage on here is pretty decent. You know, I was shooting at 4K, but I decided to switch to 1080p at 60 frames per second. The iPad Pro 10.5, the fluidity of the software compared to the Galaxy Tab S3, it was a little bit better. It's not miles ahead, but just that overall smoothness, I didn't really feel it like I wanted to with the Galaxy Tab S3, and that turned out to be kind of a deal breaker for me. So nonetheless, it was a great tablet. I was excited to have it in. I was pumped, you know, and I thought I better get rid of this while it's still early on and grab an iPad Pro 10.5, because the iPad Pro 10.5s and 12.9s are just out of stock everywhere, and I was able to grab one, and I was super excited about that. So I did go back and get an LTE model because I do have an LTE SIM that I have for T-Mobile. So it's a tablet SIM. So when I sold my other iPad, I took it out, and I was like, man, I won't miss it. But unfortunately, tethering was another thing that I was like, I don't want to connect to Wi-Fi all the time. It was a Wi-Fi model, and then I would have to tether to my phone. It just became a little bit of a mess for me. But nonetheless, again, Galaxy Tab S3 owners, love your product. If it's working for you, love it. But in the other video that I put up when I said I switched to, I said I titled it, I ditched my iPad Pro for the Galaxy Tab S3. Immediately, I know people didn't watch the video. They just looked at the title and started commenting, and I deleted all your comments. So it doesn't matter. All those insults that went into that video, everybody's commenting. I just deleted it because you don't have anything valid to say or respectful to say. I just delete your comment. Even from this video, when the ugly comments come in, they're not going to make it to the video. I'm just going to delete them. So don't waste your time posting something really stupid and disrespectful. So nonetheless, I respect your opinions if it's actually a real opinion, a valid point you can make. The Galaxy Tab S3 is a great tablet. It just wasn't for me. The productivity, I know it probably can be there, but with iOS 11 coming, I'll have access to File Manager. I'll have access to a lot of things, and it just matches up better with my iPhone 8 and my 5K Mac. It's one of those things. But the Galaxy Note 8, I'll start giving you some videos on that soon, so look for that, and the V30. It's your man Jay Will. Catch and release like episode number 4, I think, because I try not to do these very often. I don't like to do them, but it is what it is. It's your man Jay Will. I'm out.